Well, good morning. And we've been thinking over the last couple of weeks and in church about things that are important and things that are not important, and maybe some myths and legends that we have, because we come back to church, and I'm sure we're all missing church and being with our friends and having our play dates and everything else. We want to think about what is important. And sometimes when we're away from our friends and our families and the things that we like to do and our churches and our clubs, we do miss these things, and we want to think, and makes us think about what is important. And I've got something here to show you. It should probably be a Friday thought, but I have something here to show you. And it's wrapped up, and I hope you can see it. It's a piece of fish. A piece of fish. And I bought this, and it's a Saturday thought, but I actually bought this on Friday. So I'm filming and talking to you on Friday, and this is coming to you on Saturday. So I bought fish on a Friday, and this will be our dinner tonight. And you may be thinking, this is a bit of a heresy, a Protestant minister buying fish on a Friday and even daring to eat fish on a Friday. It's one of those myths that originate in certain parts of Scotland, that you can't eat fish on a Friday because that's what other people do. And sometimes people stick to that for whatever reason. Maybe it's faith, maybe it's tradition. But let's see what the Bible has to say about fish on a Friday. Of course, it doesn't speak directly about fish on a Friday, but it says in 1 Corinthians, talking about the freedom that believers have, it says, whether you eat or drink or whatever you do, do it all for the glory of God. Do not cause anyone to stumble, whether Jews, Greeks, or the church of God, even as I try to please everybody in every way. For I am not seeking my own good, but for the good of many, so that they may be saved. Ultimately, there is nothing wrong with having fish on a Friday or anything like that, if we're doing it for the right reasons, to bring God glory, and we're doing it so that he may be seen in our lives and in our actions. But if doing an action may cause somebody to stumble, then that might be something we don't want to do. What might that be? Well, you might not want to go round to somebody's house who's an alcoholic and bring them a bottle of wine. That might be something that will cause someone to stumble. Yes, you have liberty to drink in the Bible, but not to get drunk. And some of you may be a bit too young for drinking, but maybe you've seen mummy and daddy drinking. But you know, it's whether it is doing things for God's glory that matters. We can do everything that is permissible as long as it glorifies him, doesn't cause somebody else to stumble. What else do we see as well? There's also not just this word in 1 Corinthians chapter 10, but if we turn to Colossians, not even Colossians, we're going to go to 1 Timothy chapter 4, and we are told there, 1 Corinthians chapter 4, have nothing to do with godless myths or old wives' tales. Rather, train yourself to be godly. Have nothing to do with godless myths or old wives' tales. Do not be hung up about not being able to have fish on a Friday. You can do so if the intention is to glorify God and to be able to be a good witness. There's so many things in our lives that we just don't know why we do it. There's so many traditions in our lives that just don't make any sense to the outsider until somebody just questions it. If it is good, then do it. If it glorifies God, do it. If it doesn't cause anyone else or yourself to sin, you can do it. You can eat fish on a Friday or any other day of the week you wish. But ultimately, by the actions that we do, what do we say about our lives? What do we say about our Christian walk? What do we say about who we are? Do we speak of someone who has been born again? Do we speak about someone who's been sanctified? Somebody who's learning to walk in God's ways? Do we say one thing in front of our people, but when you see the minister out, do we say other things because he wouldn't like that? Maybe sometimes we have to act differently with different people. But ultimately, if our heart's intention is right, then we should do it. If the intention of the heart we know to be wrong, then don't do it. But ultimately, fish on a Friday, it is in your liberty to eat fish on a Friday. We are told we're having dominion all over the world, stewardship, but we're told we can have dominion, but also do it graciously and to glorify our God and our Heavenly Father. So I hope that next Friday I'll be able to see lots of you in the fish shop, appropriately social distanced. May God bless you all.